I'd first like to start off by recognizing Dom for all that he has accomplished in his legendary coaching career, one that started roughly 40 years ago and continues to this day. Dom has been recognized as the AP NFL Coach of the Year and was twice named NFL's Assistant Coach of the Year. He's also coached countless Pro Bowlers, All-Pros, 2 defensive MVPs, and several Pro Football Hall of Famers. But Dom, I think your greatest accomplishment is that in 2010, you put together the number 2 ranked defense that would force 3 turnovers against the Pittsburgh Steelers and allow us to bring home this franchise's 4th Lombardi Trophy. Dom, I'm truly grateful for the time we shared together. You cared equally as much for my family and life off the field as you did my performance on game day. You maintained the same energy and enthusiasm every day, never getting too high or too low, and you made coming to work fun. But most importantly, you always found a way to bring the biggest personalities together to compete for one common goal, and that was greatness. Thank you, Dom. I'd also like to thank 2 men who are not here with us anymore who are instrumental in my career here in Green Bay. That first man is Ted Thompson. In the 2009 draft, the Packers had already drafted B.J. Raji with a top 10 pick to be the centerpiece for Dom's new 3-4 defense. After getting their guy, I'm sure the draft room had every reason to be excited about who would be the team's 2nd round pick, as well as the 2 third-round picks they had that year. Rather, Ted opted to move back into the 1st round while trading away those 3 picks to draft an unproven and unheralded kid out of Southern California. To say Ted took a risk is an understatement. After all, I finished my collegiate career with only 5.5 sacks in 5 years. Hell, I was better in the classroom than I was on the field. I was 1st team All Pac-10 as a student, 2nd team as an athlete. I don't know if I should feel embarrassed or proud. But Ted saw something that very few did: potential. Ted was the architect for one of the most successful eras in Packers history, thanks in large part to a lot of former players who are in this room. I'm forever grateful for his belief in me and his belief in this organization that would so profoundly change my life. The second gentleman is the late Kevin Greene, KG as most knew him by. KG lived life with an intensity that was unmatched. He showed up each and every day with one sole purpose: to kick ass. Literally, just go on YouTube, watch the time he spent in the WCW. So many spears with Goldberg. He was old school. He coached and played for the love of the game. And you would be hard-pressed to find just one person KG didn't positively and profoundly impact. No one more than me. For as intense as KG was, he was equally as loyal and protective. He often referred to us outside linebackers as his kids, which is appropriate because as more time passes, the more my appreciation grows for everything he stood for and how he pushed me to be great. I have so many fond memories of my time spent with KG and have even more amazing stories. KG's memories live on like tall tales, but one of them is for certain: I would not have had the success I had without KG as my coach. Growing up in a football family where my father, uncle, and grandfather not only played in the NFL but did so at the highest level, it was easy for everyone to assume that I would be the next generation of Matthews men to play in the NFL. Admittedly, that was my plan all along. After all, some of my greatest childhood memories were of my father's game days, running on the field with my siblings post-game, or leaving the locker room with cleats from guys like Eric Metcalf, Jamal Anderson, and Craig Ironhead Hayward. But the journey to be up here today proved to be more difficult than my childhood dreams cared to imagine. Fast forward to my junior year in high school. I had just started to physically mature, which was several years later than many of my peers, and made high school all the more fun. I was undersized, slow, and weak, and suffered a myriad of ailments like Osgood-Schlatter, Seaver's disease, and shin splints, to name a few. It's probably worth mentioning that my dad was our high school team's defensive coordinator and opted not to start me as a junior, which is arguably the most important year for college recruiting. Where's the nepotism, Dad? Come on. Ultimately, I received 0 scholarships during my senior season and decided to walk on at the University of Southern California, a team that was coming off a national championship and was littered with 5-star recruits and blue-chip athletes. After several weeks of training camp, where I served as a running back in tackling drills and a pulling lineman so our defensive ends could work on their spill blocks, I remember coming home, sitting at my parents' kitchen table, and telling them I didn't want to play football anymore. But my dad told me the same piece of advice that his dad told him: quitting is not an option. If you start something, you finish it. It's a motto our family lives by. My second year, I continued to progress and earned a spot on the kickoff team, thanks in large part to our team's special teams coordinator, Todd McNair. Todd played with my uncle on the Houston Oilers, and while he was listed as a running back, he grinded out a solid career as a special teams maven. He liked my hustle and gave me an opportunity. That's all I needed. I never lost my spot on kickoff from that point on. My third and fourth year were very much the same. I had not only worked my way up to being on all special teams, but I began to excel at them. I'll never forget when I was able to call my parents and tell them I had earned a scholarship. I can still recall the excitement and joy in their voices. I had given my family something to be proud of. Yet despite my success on special teams, I was still only able to see the field at my natural linebacker position when we had a comfortable lead. I was stuck behind future NFL draft picks Brian Cushing, Ray Maualuga, and Kaluka Maiava, still some of my best friends to this day. My fifth and final year, while still maintaining my role on special teams, I started the season second on the depth chart, something I was all too familiar with. Our head coach at the time, Pete Carroll, had been working on finding a way to get me on the field more. He began to implement a bear defense with 2 stand-up outside linebackers. Unfortunately for me, we had a 5-star freshman named Everson Griffin who was firmly planted at the other starter. I started the year as a situational pass rusher and found immediate success in my limited role. Unfortunately for our national championship hopes, we lost an early game, our only loss of the year, and there were obvious changes that needed to be made. Shortly thereafter, my dad and I discussed how I needed to march up to Pete Carroll's office and tell him that I should be starting. Fortunately, I never had to have that conversation. Before the first practice of the week, right after warm-ups, Pete nonchalantly said to me, "You're in with the ones, don't let me down." That's all I needed to hear. Just give me the opportunity. Much like when I earned my spot on special teams, I didn't lose my starting spot the rest of the year. Fast forward to the 2009 draft. The New England Patriots were on the clock with the 26th overall pick, and they needed to get younger at pass rusher. Bill Belichick had also been the head coach of the Cleveland Browns when my dad had played for them, so it only made sense. That was until a 920 number rang my phone and the Packers graphics flashed on the TV with a trade. The conversation was brief, but whomever I spoke to asked if I wanted to be a Green Bay Packer. Of course, I said, but Green Bay was never on my radar. So almost immediately I hopped online to search where Green Bay was. Wisconsin. Okay, great. Where's Wisconsin? I have a funny draft day story. My mom has a tendency of taking a walk during stressful times within sporting events. She spent most of Super Bowl 45 walking the concourse. The draft was no different, and for an hour or so after I received that call from Green Bay, she had thought I'd been drafted to New England. She was shocked, to say the least, when someone broke the news to her. But the relationships my mom, and dad for that matter, were able to create is everything you need to know about how special this place truly is. Like Lisa from the Pro Shop, Elmer, who worked the family parking lot on game day, Vicky from the club level at Lambeau, as well as Corey, Lambeau's facility supervisor and our most overqualified handyman. For a kid who grew up on the West Coast, never in my wildest imagination did I think I would land in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I can honestly say, I wouldn't have it any other way. I still remember my I still remember my first flight into Green Bay. I was on my way to rookie minicamp, and a gentleman by the name of Kabir Baja Biamila was sitting across from me. We chatted, and after another quick internet search, I learned he was the Packers' all-time sack leader. And as a rookie pass rusher coming in, I could only hope that one day I would achieve the same level of success. I'm standing here today being honored as an individual while recognizing that this achievement isn't possible without the help of so many others within this amazing organization. And no one was more important than my teammates. I'd like to recognize some of those teammates who were able to take time out of their busy schedules to be here today. Mason Crosby, David Bakhtiari, Randall Cobb, Josh Sitton, TJ Lang, Corey Lindsley, Brad Jones, Frank Zombo, Jake Ryan, Jordy Nelson, Jeff Janis, Mike Neal, Kyler Fackrell, Nick Perry, Andy Malumba, Mike Daniels, Vince Beagle, Amon Green, Mark Tauscher, Mike Montgomery, and Cullen Jenkins. Unfortunately, Aaron couldn't be here today, rightfully so, but he did text me early today that he was going to lock himself in a dark closet, sip on some ayahuasca, and join us in spirit. So thank you, Aaron, wherever you are. I'm sorry. You guys challenged me, supported me, encouraged me, and most importantly, provided some of the best years of my life. Aaron Campman, I want to thank you as well. Even though our paths crossed for only a few brief months during my rookie season, your approach and understanding of the game allowed me to see how a true professional conducts himself. I'd like to thank Mike McCarthy, Mark Murphy, along with every other coach and assistant who was hands-on every day and worked tirelessly to put us in the best position possible to succeed. That also includes the training room. Flea, Nate, Pepper, Kurt, Doc McKenzie, and Doc Gray, as well as the equipment room. Red, T-Bone, Odie, Kevin, Nearing, and Gruber. Thank you to all these men who will never receive the recognition they deserve, but were and continue to be some of the most instrumental members of this organization. I'd also like to thank Butnick, Sarah, Jason, and Tom for managing my media responsibilities and trying their hardest to keep me in line. And I also need to give a special thanks to my off-season trainers, Ryan Capretta, Brian Sorensen, and Tito. My physical ability and mental strength were a direct result of the countless hours each of you invested in me. Time to get emotional. To my brothers, Kyle, Brian, and Casey, you guys are my best friends and biggest supporters. I look back on our childhood memories with such fondness, and I'm grateful that we have remained so close. You guys provide endless laughs, and I love nothing more than when we can all get together and act like the O'Doyles, much to the embarrassment of our wives. O'Doyle rules. Yeah, thank you. To my sister, Jennifer, I couldn't have asked for a more supportive and loving sister. I know growing up in a house full of boys couldn't have been the easiest, but you have always had my back and have always looked out for me. Thank you for being such an amazing aunt to my children as well. Mom, you are the rock of our family. You have always believed in me and have given me the courage to believe in myself. You were and continue to be my biggest fan. I can't look up. I'll always cherish the handwritten notes you would slip into my bag before every season and how you would fly cross country with Dad to Milwaukee and make the 2-hour drive up to Green Bay for every home game. Some of my best memories I have are the weekends we got to spend together early in my career. And I'm sorry that I sent you to Bed Bath & Beyond with a stack full of 20% off coupons. You can't really be upset with the example you set. Your support means everything to me, and I hope I made you proud. I will be forever grateful to call you Mom. Dad, you are an incredible man, not just for what you were able to accomplish on the football field, but for how you represented yourself off the field as well. I wanted to be just like you growing up. Your humility and work ethic made you the perfect role model. Never overbearing, you allowed me to develop a love and passion for the game naturally. And when I finally realized that maybe, just maybe, you knew a thing or two, you were always quick to offer wisdom and personal insight. You never asked for anything from me, other than when we would talk the night before a game. You wanted to know if I was going to get after it tomorrow. It was rhetoric, because with the example you set, you already knew the answer. I'm 38, married with 3 kids, and Dad, I'm still looking up to you. Because when I'm your age, God willing, I'll be skimming the pool for leaves with a net in one hand and a glass of Chardonnay in the other. Lastly, to my beautiful wife and our 3 children, Casey, you are truly what holds our family together. You have sacrificed so much, your time, your career, your ambitions. I recognize that an athlete's relationship with their sport is selfish at times, and you have handled that with such grace. You have allowed me to chase my dreams and be my best self, and I'm forever grateful. You are the love of my life, my best friend, and my fiercest supporter. I want you to know that I see everything you do for our family, and I'm so proud to call you my wife. To my kids, Clay, Maddie, and Colton, I'm sure you're more confused than ever seeing Dad so emotional up here. But I want you all to know that you kids are my real legacy. So be great. Don't be afraid to fail, and no matter where your dreams take you, I'll always be there to support you and celebrate all your achievements. Dad loves you so much. To wrap this up, I'd like to thank the Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame for this incredible honor. You guys do a tremendous job of preserving the history of this great organization. And to have my name mentioned alongside some of this organization's greatest players, coaches, and minds is truly special. This has been a tremendous evening. I want to thank everyone for coming out. I hope to be back soon. Get home safe, and God bless. Thank you.